Welcome. As you've probably noticed by now, this is a different type of video than what we've usually done on my channel. I'm trying something out so I can start to explore different topics that my other video format doesn't really allow me to. If you don't care for this format, totally fine, my other videos aren't going away. Again, this is just a new way for me to talk about some different topics. Like today, we're going to talk about my music education, how a music degree works, and then finally, is a music degree worth it? So with all that being said, let's get started. So I have a bachelor's degree in commercial music with an emphasis in composition and guitar. I also studied graphic design and photography before that. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how a music degree works, you have your core classes that everybody takes, and then you also have a focus study that's particular to you. So mine was composition and guitar, but again, you can take piano, bass, percussion, brass instruments, whatever you'd like. Now these lessons are one-on-one with a teacher, and for composition I had score studies, listening assignments, and then I would bring in my own personal pieces, and the teacher and I would go over them and revise them over the course of the semester. The score studies would weave into what composition I was working on at the time. For example, I did a woodwind quintet, so I studied a lot of Paul Hindemith's work, and you would take a score of his work, watch a YouTube video and follow along and see how the composer articulated certain instruments, how they got a certain sound, and then if you liked, you could start to implement it into your own music. The guitar lessons were a little different in that I focused on scales and arpeggios, jazz standards, and chord solos. And oftentimes they would be related to each other as well. So, if I was working on major seventh arpeggios, they would tie into whatever jazz standard I was working on at the time. As far as the music classes are concerned, I took 2 years of music theory, as well as an extra semester of jazz theory. I took arranging, songwriting, composing, a year of music history, and music business and entrepreneurship. I also took a year of choir work as well. I'm not a great singer, but I wanted to take a year of it to get used to how to sing, and then, if I needed to teach somebody or direct somebody, I could do that as well. In addition to your lessons and classes, you're in what's called an ensemble, which is basically a band with a teacher. There are two types of ensembles. One would be jazz or blues based, where you just play standards and blues tunes, and the other would be based on a specific category. So one was 90s music or 80s music, country music, reggae, metal, whatever you guys decided as a class, that's what the genre you guys would do. And now we get to the big question, is a music degree worth it? And the answer is, it depends. And I know that's not an exact answer, but it's also non-binary. It's not yes or no. It's very dependent on you as an individual. What I'm gonna go over is based solely on my experience and what I dealt with in college getting my degree, and hopefully some of it can apply to you and you can decide for yourself if a music degree is worth it. So first I'm going to go over some of the stuff I really enjoyed about college, specifically getting a degree in music. And the first is the people you meet. The friends you meet while getting a music degree is very unique in the arts program, because with a lot of other degrees, there might be 50, 60 people getting that same degree, where in my graduating class there was 7 people, including myself, who got the degree. And these 7 people I was with for my entire 4 years of college. I will be friends with these people my entire life. Even if we drift apart, we will always have the experience we shared. This is because at college you do basically everything together. You take your classes together, you take your ensembles together, you go out and perform together, you study together, you take tests together. You have these things called juries, and while those are by yourself, you all take them basically the same time, so you're all there together and you get to share that experience, and that forms a bond through the good and the bad of schooling. And the benefit of these friendships is that their talents will humble you in a very good way, because more than likely they are more talented than you in some way. For example, let's say your focus is guitar and you want to study guitar at college, and you think you're pretty good. So you go to school and you meet a friend, and she's this amazing guitarist and so much better than you. Well, this can help push you to be a better musician, because there's no conflict, there's no trying to one up each other. You're all friends and you're all trying to get better. You're all in this together. So while she may be more talented than you, she could teach you a few things and be better at your instrument yourself. And the opposite is true as well. You probably have some skill or talent that you can share with somebody else, with your friends. Maybe you're great at writing lyrics and you have a friend that wants to write songs, but they're not very good at it. Well, you can start to impart some of the things you know onto them. And it's a great symbiosis, and you all learn from each other outside of your core curriculum and classes that you take. The great thing too is you start to form almost a super group of talent. You're all probably pretty good at one thing, and if there's ever a project or you want to start a band, you're all really good at something, and you'll get to know those strengths, and you can start to apply it to writing songs, playing in a band, writing cover songs, whatever you want. There's just a wealth of talent at your disposal that you can all work together to achieve a goal. And this leads me to the next reason why I really enjoyed getting a degree in music, and that's specialized teaching. When you go get a degree, your teachers are just absolutely incredible musicians, and you can learn so much from them. If you have specific questions, you can go to them and get brilliant answers. YouTube is such a fantastic tool to learn. The one downside is that if you have a specific question or area you want to improve, it can be hard to find exact answers on it, and that's where teaching comes in handy. For example, as a composer, I love writing in different styles of music. And so if there's a specific style I wanted to emulate, I could go to one of my teachers and we could sit down in a one-on-one session and go over what makes the music work. How do the chords work? How do the melodies work? How do the rhythms work? And these are some of the things you don't get through online teaching or face-to-face. In addition to this, your teachers are probably performing musicians as well. So they know who to contact for gigs and venues if you want to explore that avenue yourself as a performing musician when you get out of college. And now that we've gone over some of the good points in getting a music degree, I'm going to go over one of the biggest downsides in getting a music degree. And that's it can be incredibly frustrating. This is because getting a music degree is incredibly time consuming. There is so much involved in getting a degree that you become stressed out and you start to resent music. And that is why you have to love music when you get your degree. If somebody asks you or you ask yourself, do I love music? And the answer is an absolutely yes, I would seriously consider not getting a degree in music. This is because the amount of work you have to do can be incredibly stressful, especially if it's not something you believe in. For example, if you are a lead guitarist and you love to shred and you love to practice your scales and arpeggios, well, you probably be spending a lot of your time writing research papers and studying and not being able to be in the practice room. Another example is if you're an introvert and you don't enjoy performing in front of other people, well, you're gonna have to, and you have a lot of performances. And myself, I don't really like performing in front of people, and that never really gets better as you go through college. That'll be a separate video, but as a crash course, you always think it's gonna get better as stage fright, and it doesn't really, and you start to resent your performances, you start to resent your instruments. It's just a very stressful time, and myself and my friends, we really started to hate music in a way, and it was very difficult. And again, these are my experiences at the college I went to. They could be completely different at somewhere else. Maybe if you have a music degree and you say, you know, I loved it. It was the best 4 years of my life. I would love to hear. I would love to hear, you know, where you went, some of the experiences you had, maybe stuff that contradicts what I say. You know, I'd love to hear the other side. And so my tips on if you would love to get a music degree: 1, check out the college first. Go to the college, talk to the teachers, but also talk to the students in the program. I would venture to guess they will tell you honestly what they think of the program. Another option is if you want to study music in college, but you don't necessarily want a degree, well, you can study as a minor or a cognate. So you can still get those core classes, but you don't have to do all the extra work like juries and ensembles and performances like the majors do. And even further, you can always just take music classes as general electives as well. Check in with your colleges or universities on how that works, but you can always just take general music theory classes as well. And so that about wraps up this video. I hope it was helpful and beneficial in some way. I hope you gained a little insight into how a music degree worked. Maybe if you were thinking about getting a music degree, you definitely want to now, or you don't want to anymore. I hope this video helps you out, and thank you for watching.